Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about the follow-up on this four-part question that I got. So let's get into it. So the second part of this question was, Frederick, I am aware that big company devs tend to be a small part of something big, and small is the opposite, uh, but does the, oh sorry, I'm aware that big companies devs tends to be a small part of something big, and in small companies it is the reverse. You're a big part of something small. But does this change with senior positions? So what I interpret this as is that this person is asking basically, are you, if you work at a really large company, are you a small cog in a big machinery, and does that actually change with senior positions? Okay, if you get more senior. And the short answer to this is no. That's not the thing that's going to dictate how much of an impact you have. The thing that dictates how much of a part you are of something, or as I like to call it, the impact you have, is completely down to, after a certain stage, your personal ambitions and how involved you get in things that matter. Let me explain. So, if you are a senior developer, you will start to notice something, and that is that at some point you will start getting a little bit complacent. And it's natural. It happens to absolutely everybody, because the thing is, regardless of, if for the juniors out there, regardless of how much you love coding, I promise you, if you do it for long enough, you're going to find that all of a sudden, without you really thinking about it, you went from reading new articles about new tools every single day, and then it's every other day, every third day, every week, once a month. It's inevitable, because if you repeat something for long enough, you're going to get bored with it, or you're going to learn it so well that it's not as fulfilling anymore to do this thing, right? So when you get to a certain level of seniority, this will happen. And the difference between if you stay where you are, or if you expand and have an even greater impact than a standard senior developer or experienced developer, is how much more are you driving things? Are you going the extra mile? Are you going out of your way to involve yourself in things that makes people who are responsible for allocating resources, such as setting up projects and so forth? Are you involved in a way that makes these people go, this, you know what, I'm gonna pick a team here, we're gonna start up this thing here. We're looking for people that fit a certain profile, and we really want this to go well, so we want really passionate developers as well. Do we have anybody on hand? If you've been the senior developer who's never talked to anybody and worked in your own closet for like the last 10 years, and practically nobody really knows you exist, it doesn't matter how long you worked. It doesn't matter if you worked twice as long as everybody else, because you do not fit the profile of the person that, or the people that the product needs. If you're not that profile, you're not going to get the job. However, even if you are a semi-experienced developer, there is a cutoff point, because one hard requirement is, of course, you need to be able to do the job. It doesn't matter if you're the most passionate junior developer in the world. If a project comes up where it's like high stakes and the company is really concerned that this goes well, they're going to look for the most solid developers that they can find. They're going to try to figure out, like, we need the most experienced people, and we need the people who really can roll this thing home. And that's usually not the junior developer, because you don't have the experience, but it could be, depending on the project. But at some point you will know enough to be considered someone who can do the job, and then everything else comes down to your, how much do you drive, how much do you push yourself, how much do you invest, do you have like side projects, and do you like involve yourself in the work in the office? Do people know your name? That's a great example. Like, if you work in a big company, do people actually know you outside of your own team? Do people know that, oh, there's this person who's sitting and working over here, and that person is really good at, I don't know, machine learning or Docker or Kubernetes or like whatever, right? And then there's a project comes up that is relevant to stuff like this. Do they want you around? Shit, I've seen people get invited to high stake projects because they have a great positive attitude. Like they are good developers, and what the project needs is good developers. And who are they going to pick? The people who are good developers but never like make a noise and like never push anything or innovate. No, usually what they will do is that they will get the developers who will fit the bill, like know the stuff and can bring something positive. Like that's the first person you will think about. I'll give you an example. So at my last job, there were 2 team leads that had taken over, that were running the show at my within the teams that we were working. One team lead had worked at that company for, it must have been 16 years, I think, something like that. And the other had worked there as a software developer for 4 years and then just literally just got promoted and had his own team. Now, the difference in their 2 experiences were massive. Like we were talking about several magnitudes of difference in years. But the guy with 4 years of experience was a really good coder. Like he was really good, and he was a great mentor. I thank him personally for having such patience with me when I was doing my stuff. And like he was really solid and had a positive attitude. He had a lot of influence. He was invited to all the meetings and like he was involved. The guy with 16 years had a lot of respect because he had 16 years, but he was not always the first go-to for every issue, because at some point you will know enough that your personality, your identity within IT will start to emerge, your identity as a developer, if that makes sense. And that's the thing that is going to dictate most if you're going to work on really interesting projects or if you're not going to work on interesting projects. A little bit of office politics as well, of course. But one thing to really know about this as well is that a lot of your market value in the IT industry actually comes from this. Your personality, your energy, your enthusiasm and commitment to the industry. I can give you something that is very close to home. In my team today, I work with at least one developer who has at least twice my experience, easily twice as much experience as I do, and I am still and when we had the discussion, when we were dividing up, we were basically forming a new team at the time. He told me, Fredrik, I feel like you should do this. I said, okay, what do you mean? I want you to lead the team. I want you to take charge, and I want you to be in charge and like just be the team lead. And I went, okay, cool. I can do that. No worries. The reason why I was open to that is because I felt like, yeah, that sounds like something that is interesting. And between the 2 of us, he's a very low-key guy. He just kind of likes to do his thing. He is solid as fuck. Like he will get everything done. He fixes issues, he fixes more bugs, he knows more about the system than I will probably ever know. He built most of the thing, and he's really good as a software developer, but he is not a passionate, innovative person who has like a lot of ideas and wants to, like, he's not hungry to move things in a better direction. He wants to follow along and learn and like really be involved, but he's not the pusher, if that makes sense. He's he looks at himself as more of a follower, and that's fine. He compliments me. I've told him 100 times, I am so grateful that I get to work with him because he has so many strengths that I lack, that I need. But when it comes to leading a team or like being an innovating or getting people involved or doing office politics and stuff like that, I am the stronger candidate for that position, and we both acknowledge that. So even though he has more than twice my experience, I get the role because I'm a better fit for it, if that makes sense. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you're interested in working on interesting projects or working at cool companies or things like that, don't say, like, even if it's in Google, if it is at Facebook, wherever you are, your seniority is not the main factor that dictates if you get that job or if you get that project or things like that. It's about seniority to a point. If you don't have any skills and like you're completely fresh, you're not going to get like a high stakes project or something like that. You need to have some seniority first, but at some point you will have enough experience that it doesn't matter if you have half or a third of the experience of somebody else, because at that point the thing that matters is quality of person, quality of the individual who's going to fill the role. It doesn't matter if you worked for 30 years as a software engineer. if you can, if the thing that they're looking for someone to do is outside of your expertise, or if you have no passion, like you're not a good fit. That's basically what I'm saying. If you're not a good fit, doesn't matter how long you've been working, and that's what is, in my opinion at the very least, going to dictate most of your career, and how attractive you are on the job market, and how long you stay attractive on the job market as well. Your personality, how much you invest, what projects that you take care, like you take charge of, or like get involved in, like who you are. Your identity as a software developer is one of the most important things that can factor in when you talk about your career. Have a great day.